felt like a cup final today, and certainly with the crowd, it felt a completely different game and not a WSL game.
Sorry. What was your initial thoughts on the game? Because obviously your side looked like they were struggling at times in the first half, but second half looked like a rejuvenated side.
Yeah, I just spoke to the girls and said it's quite kind of hard to give my thoughts, but my immediate thoughts would be I thought maybe a draw was probably a fair result for both teams. I thought they edged it first half. I thought we edged it second half. Probably a little bit too much like a basketball match in the final stages for my liking. But yeah, I think when we got our build-up play right and we got our pressing right, and I think both of those things really improved in the second half, then we looked the more likely, I felt, and certainly after we scored, albeit from United coming and probably putting us under pressure for that 5 minutes, I still felt that we were more likely to get some good opportunities at the end. And I think we did, and I think both goalkeepers made really good saves.
These sorts of results and these sorts of games that end to end, they're becoming quite common in the derbies now over the last couple of seasons. A lot of draws, leads turning round. How do you feel like this season facing United? Do you feel like they've improved? Do you feel like it's tougher facing them this season than before?
It's really hard to kind of judge this type of game now to the game last season. And I can imagine our team's changed a fair bit. Theirs a little bit. So it's really hard to kind of say, well, we felt this way last season or this way this season. I think, they're a tough team. They've got some good players. They're very good with their set plays, which I thought we really dealt with well today. But again, yeah, like I say, I just felt and I spoke to the players at halftime, and we need to tweak some movements in our pressing and certainly in our build-up play, and we got both of those a lot better in the second half. We weren't flawless, but we were a lot better in the second half, and that enabled us to get back into the game and potentially have a chance of winning the game. Okay.
What did you say to the girls at half time?
Just that, really, that we were a little bit off it in our pressing. Just needed to refine a few things, and in our build-up play. So it's so difficult to be critical, I think, of both teams today because it's a new environment. A lot of the United players wouldn't have played here previously. Certainly, a lot of our girls haven't been here previously. I've never coached here. One game, sorry, for the academy, but so it's like a bit of a one-off. It felt like a cup final today, and certainly with the crowd, it felt a completely different game and not a WSL game. But yeah, look, I mean, the energy and the effort, and at times I felt some of the quality was of a really good level, and hopefully it's been a good advertisement for women's football. You get lots of thoughts that happen in that situation. I think you're always conscious that first thing is, do you need to change it? And certainly once we got back into the game and we looked like we were going to go ahead and improve on our scoreline, that's why would you change? I just think the one with Ras at the end is potentially like one where Hayley's got such pace against a tiring defence that you might just get one or two opportunities, and there were a couple of little moments for her. But yeah, again, sometimes I've always been one to try and use the impacts of substitutions in most of the games we have. Sometimes the last thing you want to do is take a player out of the situation, like, I don't know, Laura Coombs or Dana, who's so warm and ready for the game that you drop another player in who's completely cold and not in the rhythm of the game. So it's a fine line on that one. I don't know. It looked like a really good challenge from Alex. I don't know. It's really hard for me to know. I think we probably should have dealt with the play a little bit better than what we did. We went back to Ellie and didn't deal with it, and gave them an opportunity. But I felt Alex looked to me like a really important interception and block.
That's league-wise, 2022 done. How do you feel going into the second half season of where you are right now?
Yeah, a lot better than obviously the first couple of games, but I think there was some context to where we were at, and I've said previously that you don't get a lot of time to work with the team. You don't get a lot of time, obviously, with only having 22 games in a season, but it's the same for everyone. And, I've said that one of the most important things for me was that in our recruitment now, we look like this is going to be our team, more or less. There'll always be players coming and going. But the more you can limit on that, the better. As soon as you feel you have a really good team here for the future, which I feel we have now, I think it's really exciting. And you can see that this team is starting to gel and play really well together. And, it looks a strong group of players, looks a really good group of players to work with. So I think it's exciting. I think we've got ourselves into a really good position. In both of the competitions we've been competing in, outside of obviously the Champions League, but in the Continental Cup, we've got a bit of work to do next week. Hopefully we secure our quarter-final spot, and we've given ourselves a chance in the second half of the season, we'll play United again, we'll play obviously Arsenal twice, and we'll play Chelsea again. So those games are obviously going to be big.
And I want to ask you about Laura Coombs. That goal takes her to the most goal involvements she's had, goals and assists in her career, and it's only in December. How good has she been this season, and do you think she could have a sneak in and reform that too?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think she's a top person first off, and I think she's a really good player. And so pleasing her goal today that she was in there in the 6-yard box. Normally her goals are spectacular ones. She's got such great shooting ability, great running ability. I thought she covered every blade today. I think her, Dana and Yui, especially in the second half, controlled the game a lot better than what they did in the first. And yeah, Laura's just enjoying her football. I think she's got wealth of experience. She's played for a number of clubs. She feels settled here. She enjoys the group. She enjoys obviously her role within the team. And she, like I say, she's a dream to work with.
Hi Gareth. You mentioned there about kind of seeing the team gel together now. Do you feel like you've kind of got not a settled 11? Obviously team players can force their way into that, but do you feel you know your best team at the moment better than maybe those first few games?
I don't think there is a best team. I think with this group of players that we have, there's so many really good options, and it's so tough as a coach because you can obviously only pick 11 players. But I think I try to stress the impact of the team and the group that we have, because if we're going to try and achieve what we want to achieve and really push in that space, then we can't do it with 12, 13 players. And that's difficult because the players, they all want to play, and it's the hardest part is obviously leaving players out. But I don't think there is, I don't have a best team. We always look at the opposition. We always look at the different types of centre-backs we have. So we know that Alana or Steph will give you something different to what maybe Leah and Alex will. Esme has done amazingly well coming in at centre-back, has filled in a number of positions as well. Suffers today by not being a part of it. Same with Philippa Angadal, scores in midweek against Liverpool. It's not, there is no best team. I think that's why people want to be here, is they can see that if they come in, they do well, they will have a chance. People always, and players always talk about game time when you bring them to the club, and it's the hardest answer to give. We'll guarantee game time. How much they get obviously depends on a lot what they do and how they perform.
You mentioned there it's only a 22-game season. Going into the second half of the season, how much is consistency going to be important to claw back on that top three and get that Champions League place?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're looking further than that. We want to win the league. We're not just looking at Champions League. I think, we put ourselves in a position to win the league. We win all of our games. Second half of the season, we win the league. It's as simple as that. And we've shown this season and the last 2 seasons as well that we can go on continuous winning streaks. And it's good that we put ourselves in a position. We know there's a lot of hard work to do in the second half of the season, but it's the same for everyone, and we're looking forward to that challenge.
Molly? Oh,
Hi, Gareth.
Hi.
A few really big saves from Ellie today to sort of really keep you in the game. How good has she been? Because obviously her and Sandy have kind of swapped in and out a bit recently.
Yeah, Ellie's done really well, I think, and so has Sandy, and so has Chiara. We're really happy with the goalkeepers we have at the club, and there's no secret that was an issue for us last season. That department with the injuries we had to Karima and and to Karen as well. We didn't have Karen for the whole of the season. So, and then obviously when Ellie got injured, it pushed Kiara into the spotlight, who did really well. So I think the important part was nailing that department and making sure that we got that right, nailed it down and got it right. And I think we have done now. And Sandy's a great professional. Whether she plays, doesn't play, she's spot on in the way she handles things. And obviously she's come from a different environment at Everton, where we're trying to upskill her in the way we play, and she's so far done it really well. And I think it's helped Elle in that respect.
And then you've had sort of a few captains for the team this year. How nice is it to have that sort of leadership little group, I guess?
Yeah, well, that's come from the players. You know, we came up with the idea, and you know, it's not anything that's not been done previously. I think you've seen it. Leadership group is really important for the players, not necessarily for us, but it's also good for us, so the staff, to have. And the players choose it, and we go with it. We sometimes give the information to those guys, and they feed it back to the players. They come to us with different ideas, usually on the schedule, and asking for more time off at Christmas. But yeah, it's a two-way thing, and it's a real good thing for us to have. And again, you know, the 4 girls that represent really well.
Hi, Gareth.
Hi.
You mentioned the environment maybe added to the kind of nature of the game today. Is the sort of ultimate aim, maybe in the long term, to kind of make this the second home for City?
Yeah, of course. I think that would help. I think you'd see hopefully more normal type of performances than maybe what we saw in the first half for us, just because it was like completely new. The pitch out there is the same dimensions apparently as the CFA Stadium, but it looks completely different. Certainly even from where I'm standing, it just feels bigger. Obviously bigger stadium, bigger crowd. The spaces look massive, you know, for both teams. And yeah, I believe if we're able to use this as a venue more often, we'll do amazing, especially the way we play and the method we use. I think it'll help us a lot. I think maybe today, the first half, it was a bit new to us. We tried to acclimatise as best we possibly could. We weren't able to train here yesterday, unfortunately, just due to the weather conditions. But yeah, I think it was great. It was brilliant to see all of the supporters, and I think it's a real step forward. And hopefully, like I say, both teams gave a real good account of themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions, guys? Tom? Oh, sorry, Tom. Do you want to go first? And then we'll
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on that because it is such an interesting discussion about the stadium that you were saying to Molly there. What would need to happen for you to play more matches here? Is that something that you can actually push for yourself, or is that completely out of your hands?
Oh, I don't know. I think that's more for the powers that be, and I think today was kind of obviously a bit of a flagship moment. I know we've had it previously in 2019, but I think you can see the interest that this game, you know, drew up, and obviously they reflect and see if it was a real success. And I would imagine if they deem it as being a success, then we'll look to do it a little bit more often.
The turnout must be really pleasing for you because it's the second highest in the Everton history, but it's December rather than September, so and it's very cold. So
yeah,
it feels like it's probably, even though it's a couple of thousand short of Arsenal's record, it feels like it's the best turnout, I guess, crowd-wise.
Yeah, I think it's just great for us. I mean, we've seen it probably happen more in the south, haven't we? Really, with Chelsea using their venue, Arsenal, Tottenham. So for us, I think it's great. I think it's a real step forward, and hopefully everyone's viewed it as a real success.